Polls have opened in Kenya as millions are set to elect a new president following intense campaigning. Presidential hopeful and Deputy President Willim Ruto has called on Kenyans to come out in their numbers and vote.
Yeah, Ruto cast his ballot just a few minutes ago in the general elections. He's taking on opposition leader Raila Odinga, who's taking the backing, or who has the backing, I beg your pardon, of outgoing President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Go vote peacefully and intentionally and deliberately, so that we can choose the men and women who have a plan to take our country to the next level over the next 5 years. I am very confident that the people of Kenya will make choices that will take our country to the future.
Ruto has also called on opponents to respect the voters' decision, as that's the essence of democracy.
All of us submit to the authority and the power of the vote as exercised by every Kenyan. It is upon all of us to respect the choices of the people of Kenya, as it is done today in every part of Kenya and in every part of Kenya. And I look forward to our victorious day.
All right, let's take you live to Nairobi now and speak to journalist Zindzi Kibiku, get a sense of what people on the ground are saying about the possible outcomes of this election. Great to speak to you this morning, Zindzi. And what a campaign of opposites and a campaign of interesting candidates insofar as Ruto and Odinga are concerned.
Well, thanks, Michelle. That's the thing. There's a number of differences between both parties. At the end of the day, it's also quite important to remember, as much as this is a two presidential horse, at the end of it, we actually do have four candidates that Kenyans can choose from at the end of the day. As you just mentioned, Willim Ruto this morning, his ballot. But apart from Willim Ruto, we've also seen Rigathi Gachagua, his presidential running mate, as well as Martha Karua also cast their ballots, as well as David Maura this morning as well. A few other cabinet secretaries have also casted their ballots. Kenyans, Michelle, have come out in numbers this morning to make sure that they go out and vote for their favorite candidate. Polls were opened as early as 6 a.m. and they'll continue to remain open until 5 p.m. It's quite a big day for East Africa's biggest economy. As you have mentioned, it's not just a matter of choosing who's going to be Kenya's next president. No, Michelle. Kenyans are looking at who's going to also be their next governor, their next woman rep, the next member of parliament. So it's across all board. And to also just mention, as early as yesterday, we saw the electoral body here in Kenya, IEBC, Wafula Chebukati's chairman, say that certain counties, two of them to be precise, Kakamega and Mombasa County, one of Kenya's hotspot tourism destinations, unfortunately, will not have a chance to be voting for their governor due to ballot errors. Nevertheless, Kenyans that has not dampened Kenyan spirits, as you have seen. The long queues everywhere to make sure that Kenyans come out and practice their vote. 22.1 million Kenyans are said to be practicing that vote, that right to vote today.
Yeah.
Michelle?
So as you say, four candidates, but it is essentially a two-horse race. Shall we talk about those two main horses this morning, Zindzi? Raila Odinga, it's his fifth bid for the presidency in these elections. Interesting that he has the backing of the outgoing president, given their history.
Very interesting, Michelle. And given that 5 years ago, that was not the case. In the historic 2017 election, where the Supreme Court had annulled an election, the first of its kind on the African continent, in 2017, it was a different scenario where Raila Odinga was on the other side, and President Uhuru Kenyatta and his current president, Deputy Willim Ruto, who is now also running against Raila Odinga in this election. And that is the thing. At the end of the day, the conversation that young Kenyans are having is my choice has to come down between either William Ruto or Raila Odinga, nevertheless. But these are two people who have been in government for the longest time. They have served Kenya and Kenyans in different capacity. But what will make them different this time round? As much as, yes, if you look at both manifestos, they are saying one thing or the other. But at the end of the day, where will Kenya's favor fall on? Will it be William Ruto, who is the outgoing deputy president and will be the incoming president if he does get elected? Or will it be Raila Odinga, who, as you said, has the great backing of the outgoing president, Uhuru Kenyatta? Michelle.
Ruto is also interesting because in his campaigning, he portrayed his opponents and the outgoing government as sort of out of touch and elitist, but out of touch with the people of Kenya. He says he himself wore second-hand clothes. He sold chickens on the side of the road. Did that really resonate with the people that he was speaking to in those crowds that he was pulling in his campaign?
That's what we're calling the conversation of the dynasty versus the hustler movement, right? Where we have these two individuals, Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, who are the sons of the forefathers of Kenya. Then on this other hand, you have William Ruto, who is portraying to be the everyday man Kenyan who has worked or struggled his way to the top. So at the end of the day, Michelle, the conversation really is a dynasty versus hustler movement, which you have really painted it well for us. And that has been the narrative that William Ruto has really been selling. As you saw from the debate that we had that he came for, but Raila Odinga did not attend. He failed to attend. But as you saw from that, he continued to push the bottom-up economy, a movement, a narrative that he's been selling quite a long time throughout his campaign, as he also sold the hustler movement. And like you said, he painted a picture of where he as a Kenyan, he came from selling eggs and now he is a presidential candidate. And that's sort of the narrative that he's used to sort of sing his campaign and get a hold of young Kenyans, especially those young Kenyans who are majority the youth, 18 to 35, who are really working and their own kind of way to hustle and, make ends meet in their own kind of way. So that's sort of the way he has tried to entice his audience, but sort of saying, I'm just like you, unlike these two gentlemen who have had the backing and the favors of their fathers.
Kenyans being described as enthusiastic voters, Zindzi. 80% voter turnout in 2017. I mean, given what we've just come out of as a global community insofar as COVID-19 is concerned, the strain of the Ukraine-Russia war on economies around the world as well. Be interesting to see what the turnout is like this time round. May well be higher than the 80% we saw in 2017.
And unfortunately, Michelle, 2017 had a higher turnout, especially of young people compared to the numbers this time round. And like you've said, it's for obvious reasons. Even on the conversation online on social media, Kenyans feel, especially young Kenyans, like you said, after COVID-19 has happened, 2 years of a pandemic. Before that, Kenya was already facing high unemployment for that specific age group. COVID happened, which just made things strenuous on that said number. These two candidates, Raila Odinga and William Ruto, have spoken towards that aspect of unemployment. But nevertheless, young Kenyans feel like, I would rather focus on my business. I would rather focus on my education. I'd rather focus on me. And that's a conversation that is happening between two different generations, Michelle. That's the amazing thing, two different generations. Whereas our older generations, our parents, are more loyal, they would go out and vote. Young Kenyans who are experiencing strenuous times, economic strenuous times, like you have said, compared with the Russian and the Ukraine war, as well as COVID-19, worsening unemployment levels. Kenya's conversation is more of what can I do for myself and my family? As a young person, how can I continue to make sure that I'm putting food on my table and lights on? So even you'll see on the conversation online, really, whether you are supporting one team or the other, at the end of the day, young Kenyans are singing, go out and vote, choose your candidate, then go back to work. We want a peaceful election because at the end of the day, the price of bread is going to be affected between you and I. Absolutely. So that's the conversation really. And that's why we've seen the voter turnout between the young generation compared to 2017, the last election, and now that has dropped.
Zindzi Kibiku, let me thank you for your time this morning. Live to us there in Nairobi, 22.1 million registered voters going to the polls in Kenya.